Hey, my name is Daniel Owen, and this is the Module 15 case study over Truman Elementary School and their low reading scores. So starting off with what we know students are scoring low on the reading achievement test, but they're scoring fairly well on the math test. We know students are losing ground from year to year, so we need to address that and why that's happening. Also, parents aren't satisfied and want answers. So we've got to make sure we meet with them and keep their trust. Also, teachers are not using effective instructional methods. And both myself and the reading specialist have observed the classroom, so we know a little bit about what's going on in them. And I also need to give a presentation to the PTO concerning the low reading performance, just to help keep them informed. So what do we need to know? We need to know the last time the standards were updated. We know we need to update them, but how old are the ones that we are currently using? Same thing with the curriculum. Have we been using the same curriculum for 10 years, or is it a fairly new curriculum, or do we have newer curriculum that we're not using? Also, we need to see what the most current reading scores are. Maybe we need to see if there's other assessments that we could use to help gauge our students' reading scores other than just the past 3 years scores. We also need to see if we can apply for the grant to help us improve our reading levels, kind of put together a plan as to how we're going to do that. And we need to see if the claims the PTO parents making are true. They're making a lot of claims that maybe our teachers aren't doing their jobs. And so we need to see if any of these are true or these are just false claims because some parents are upset. So what's the problem? State test scores are low, and some of them are declining from year to year as far as the student's performance. We also know that parents are claiming teachers are not teaching their students proper spelling or phonetics, so we need to see, if we can fix that. Instruction is being given as a one-size-fits-all method. It's not really being individualized for our students. And then we need to choose a new reading curriculum and also get the teachers the training they need to help use the most current and effective teaching methods. So an action plan to help solve some of these problems. First, we're going to get the teachers hands-on with some of this data. They need to see it. They need to realize, this isn't good. It doesn't look good for them or the school. And they need to be able to analyze the data and help kind of make some plans as to how to improve it. We're going to start doing this at our next collaboration meeting. So if we're not teaching spelling to our students, we need to start implementing this. Parents aren't happy that we're not teaching their kids proper spelling. So we need to kind of hold our kids to a little higher standard. If they're making some corrections on spelling words, have them erase it and correct it before they move on. Professional development is going to be made available for our teachers to help them make an improvement plan for each of their students. And we're also going to be applying for that grant. So how are we going to implement this? First, we need to just make sure this is a conversation about us. This is including me and all the staff and paras, everybody in the school that's teaching or doing anything with our students. It's not about any teacher in particular. I know a lot of times teachers start to get on the defensive right away, and we don't want that to happen. We just want teachers just to see that there is a problem and we need to get it fixed. So we do need to find out, there are some of our teachers that are doing a really good job with some of these strategies. And let's empower them to be leaders. Let's make them like team leaders or grade level leaders and try to help get some other people on board with making changes within the school. A lot of times they can really be our best advocate. They're already doing things that are working. And they can, kind of tell the other teachers this is not going to be more work. It's really the same amount of work, but we get better results. We do need to start getting some samples of different curriculums to try out. I know we only have a few months of school left, but we need to get on this and hopefully make a purchase this summer. Then we need to form a small committee to help apply for that grant, so that we can make the necessary improvements. So, what's best for our students? Hopefully I know that's why I'm in this position. I hope that's why all of our teachers are in our building too. We've got to make sure that teachers aren't really in a rhythm where it's easy for them, but maybe not necessarily best for the students. So let's kind of get our teachers out of their little box, out of their comfort zone. Let's get them start making some improvement plans for the students and think about more specific needs and maybe not such broad needs for their grade levels. Also, I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to be putting in a lot more work and doing whatever it takes to improve our students' ability to read. I'm going to expect some of my staff members to step up and do the same. Even if this means more work and more time, if we're all, doing this for what's best for our students, this isn't going to be an issue. So hopefully we can put our own, selfish desires aside and do what's best for our kids. And it's also not a time to point fingers. It's easy for us to say, well, that's the grade level before me. That's their fault that they're not able to read when they get to my class. So let's take some ownership for our own classes and work together to help improve our school. Resolution. So our students will all be showing improvement in reading from grade to grade. We need to stop seeing decreases in scores, grade level to grade level. And also, we need to try to have a goal for a score of at least the 60th percentile. We've got some scores that are in the 40s, and we don't want to see any more of that. So, mid 50s would be good for some of our grade levels who might be in the 40s. But then we've got some grade levels that are in the 50s already. So let's shoot for something in the 60s. Then the improvement plans for each student. We're going to try to have a score that we want them to be performing at, based on the previous scores. So we don't want to see any kids decreasing in their performance. Some things I was thinking, feeling, and valuing. So one of the things I was thinking was that my teachers might have gotten to a comfortable place. And they might need to be maybe pushed a little bit to remind them why they are teaching. I do value the fact that the reading supervisor was honest with her review of my school. I really like constructive criticism. So, I'm going to take all of her words to heart and do my best to make the changes that she's recommending. I do feel like once we start working as a team, this is not going to be something that's not able to be fixed. This is going to be easy to get fixed, I think, once we all get on board with this and start making the changes necessary. So this is not like the death of our school by any means. This is something that we're going to get fixed and we're going to improve and continue improving on. And we've got to make sure we're doing everything we can to keep the support of our parents. Sounds like they're genuinely concerned, and we want to make sure that we, address their concerns and take care of them so we keep their support. So maybe some unresolved or open issues we still need to investigate. Not sure, maybe some of the parents are not, supporting our teachers. So maybe we need to try to build some trust back between them. So we'd have to see about that. I also have to find out which teachers in my building are using the best strategies to get them into maybe a leadership role. We need to find out if we're going to be able to receive the grant, because that could really make a huge difference in, how quickly we can improve these scores. Then we need to see if my teachers are going to be on board, or are the teachers going to be on board and willing to take on a little bit more responsibility and, teaching a few more skills that they're not teaching. So how to act as an agent for continuous improvement. First off, I think, being willing to meet with the PTO and explain, what we're currently doing and what we're going to be doing differently. Also, being genuinely concerned with the parents' opinions. So not just blowing anything off and, putting it aside. We want to have their trust, and we want them to trust that we're doing what's best for their children. Also, I'm going to set high expectations for my staff, and expect them to do what's best for the students. So using the data to respond, there's there's really no denying data. Data is data, and being transparent about it, I think was the best approach there. We have had some decreasing scores, but if you look at some of the data, some of our classes are improving from year to year. So it's not that every single one of our classes are decreasing. We probably have some classes with maybe some more advanced kids in them, and so they're performing better on a yearly basis than some of the other classes that might have a little bit lower performing students or maybe have a higher poverty level. Also, sharing some of the strategies that some of our teachers are using that are really working well, and ensure them that all of our teachers are going to start using some of these proven strategies. And then sharing the fact that students with parents who are reading to or with them statistically are going to be scoring much higher than the national average. Giving the parents a little bit of ownership as well, letting them know that they can do something that will really make a huge difference here. So maybe we haven't been pushing our parents to read with their kids at home. So maybe we need to start a program where we send a reading log home and try to get our students to have their parents sign off when they read a book to them. Just to help give them a little bit of ownership and help them feel like they're going to do their part to help improve these reading scores, I think will really make a huge difference. So using some knowledge of policies, laws, and regulations, students probably will all have an improvement plan eventually. So starting to get my staff into the habit of creating them now for their students will help us be better prepared in the future. Also, if all of our students are receiving the same instruction, in small group settings or individually, how are our IEPs actually being followed? We know we have a lot of different plans for students, and if they're all getting the same cookie cutter type instruction, are we meeting these IEPs? So we need to address that. And I know we have to be using strategies that work best for teaching the students to properly read. Last one, establish ongoing dialogue. First, I had the reading supervisor for the district observe my teachers in my school and, accepted her findings, took them to heart and made the changes necessary from them, and also took her recommendations and went with all those as well. Also having great dialogue with parents, hoping to maintain their trust and having a positive, supportive relationship between us. And the last thing, reaching out to reading specialists and maybe see what curriculum is going to be best for our schools. So we've got a lot of changes to make, and hopefully that all of these will help to show a increase in our reading scores over the next year.